Ladies and gentlemen, intradays versus overnights. The current environment, what really is right for you? Is it one of the above? Is it all of the above? Or is it none of the above? We're going to show you one of the keys for the Newsbeat Edge. I am Mark Melnick, and this is the Newsbeat Show. Good evening, ladies and good evening. I'm so used to doing it in the evening. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Newsbeat Show. Today we're going to have an interesting discussion about intraday trades versus overnight trades and what really is right. Honestly, there is no answer, but a lot of traders are getting very finicky in this environment, especially with the overnights. And truthfully speaking, how could you not? We're going to discuss all of that and a lot more. By watching the show, you are agreeing to hold me, Mark Melnick, harmless, not responsible for anything that is portrayed on this video, T3 Live as well. You have to hold them harmless and not responsible for anything portrayed on this video. If you do not agree to that, bye-bye. Exit this video immediately. If you do agree to that, you are agreeing to those terms by continuing to watch. Let's just go right into it. Thank you so much for agreeing. Let's just go right into it. So, in this sort of environment right now, a lot of people just don't really know how to handle things. Things look bullish on the chart, bearish, they're bullish, bearish, bullish, bearish. And the funny thing is, I find about all of this is that people are being held hostage. You're being held slave to. You are being held captive to the next headline that the market has to spit out. U.S.-China trade war. Things are going great. Things are going bad. Things are going worse. Things are going worse. They're not as bad as expected. Things are going better. Talks will be happening soon. Back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Iran with all the drama over there. North Korea with all the drama over there. Russia with all the drama over there. Turkey with all the drama over there. The European Union, Brexit with all the drama over there. Argentina, Venezuela with all the drama over there. What's going on? What is exactly going on? Doing overnights have become phenomenally difficult in the current environment because you're just sitting there waiting to see what the next headline is going to cause. Is it going to cause you death and destruction? Or is it going to cause you bliss and happiness, at least for the time being, until you get caught potentially the next time? So what is better? Only you can answer that. But here's the beautiful thing about today's episode. I'm going to help you answer that. Whether both are good for you, one is good for you, none are good for you in the current environment. Now, we all know that August is one of the harder months of the year. I had my most consistent August in my 20-year trading career last month. But we all know that August tends to be slow on the news flow. And I wasn't a big fan of that in all truthfulness. So we saw a lot of news flow coming back here today. We saw a lot of things going on, and I want to just show you simple trades. So if you watched yesterday's video, I had a very micro down day. I learned from it and I exceeded it, and now I'm having a serious four-figure day here today. Very happy with how I did. And I just want to show you, I'm going to start with the intraday side and show you if it's right for you. And the truth is, the only way I really feel the intraday is right for you is if you're using the right methodologies with the right edge. For example, today we were talking about doing the Mark 1 strategy the other day. That was to members, or if you were listening to us for the past few weeks, we're doing the Apple 1 and done. And we did the Apple 1 and done today. Basically, I bought Apple right over here on this third candlestick, right through $212.34. It exploded to 212.63. I was done right there. That was it. That was it. I saw 35 to 40% of the room log off. They were just gone. That was it. That was their day. They were like, bye-bye, made up. Woo, that was fun. See ya. I'm not saying I hit off. I made a nice three figures on it. I didn't even make $1,000 on this move, in all fairness. And then there are people who held longer who did make thousands. One person I saw made 6,000 because they were a stubborn son of a gun and sat there and watched the market go up, and they threw a trailing stop in, and they did way better on this idea than me. That is on the intraday side. You could take advantage of that. Then there's something which I would say is a lot easier to make money here in the Newsbeat live room. There was something that happened today, if you are watching. Maybe you didn't see it. Maybe you did see it, but Coles decided to absolutely explode. And I'm going to draw it out for you and show you why being in the Newsbeat room and having this intraday edge is better than anywhere on Wall Street. And if you disagree, disagree, but at least let me show you, excuse me, at least let me show you the point over here. So here's a simple chart of Coles. Newsbeat live room gets alerted to chatter, bullish chatter here on Coles, right over there. Right over there. This is what I like to call the Newsbeat edge. Now, why do I call it the Newsbeat edge? Is because we are beating the rest of Wall Street to this flow. We're called the Newsbeat because we actually give you a unique opportunity to potentially buy Coles right where you see that arrow. Could you imagine buying Coles right there today? This is a 5-minute chart of Coles. And watching Coles explode from the 47 80s, 90s, all the way to 48, was about in the 48 50s. Now, I don't know if you saw what happened, but the options went through the ceiling. The options went up a good 70, 80%. So yes, by having the Newsbeat edge here, you could have been buying these options for a 70, 80% gain. Not going to drop the name of the competitors, but this was one of the competitors right by 48.10. That's right. Right by 48.10. Here was, by competitors, by the way, competitors is a very tricky word. I don't actually consider it competition. I mean, if you're beating everyone out there to the punch, is that competition? It would be like LeBron James going on the court of a high school basketball game and dunking 50 times. Are the opponents LeBron James competition? Or are they just on the court watching him fly through the air and dunking the ball? That is the type of competition we're talking about. Because when it comes to news flow, you're either early, you're in between, or you're late, which equates to you're either early or late. That's the only thing that news flow for right there. And just the last one right over here. So those arrows I pointed to are very interesting because it shows where the competition is. Ironically speaking, two of those services are more expensive than the monthly service subscription to the Newsbeat Live Room, by far. One of them charges, I don't want to drop the name, but if I tell you the price, you'll probably know what it is. One of them charges, let's do the math, considering an annual deal and you get the discount and everything. One of them charges around 170 times more money than a Newsbeat Live subscription. And they give you a lot more information than just this. But if on the intraday side, if you're able to do this today, we were number one. Number one on Wall Street. And again, I understand everybody in the room and in the Newsbeat Live community, everybody who watches these videos from the great content that T3 Live has to offer. I understand that you're watching this and you're like, that's a damn bold call, Mr. Melnick. It is a damn bold call. I understand exactly what I am talking about. How important would it be for your day if this is one of the trades you did? This would make your week. This would make your month. The money I made in Coles today, there would be traders out there who would be happy if they made that money in the next 3 months on this one trade today. And I approached it modestly, believe it or not. Had I gone heavy, would have been great. But we're number one on Wall Street. There is no competition. You cannot beat this flow. There's a value to it that you cannot put a price tag on. So if you're getting this sort of intraday information, nothing beats it. It becomes way more valuable than any overnight you could do. Why? Why is holding, and by the way, yes, I also held it. I was also holding it for a move up here with a runner on. I didn't hold my 100% of my position. But why is it important? Why is it important to get this flow early? Why is this critically important to your success? Well, think about it like this. You're taking an overnight trade. You take it overnight at 4 o'clock p.m. How long do you have to hold it for? You have to hold it till at least 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time the next day, unless you're trading, unless you have common stock and you could sell it after hours or pre-market, or let's say if you're holding options, you have to hold it at least till 9:30 the next day. And just thinking of it like that, in that sort of perspective, you're going to be subjective to a lot of potentially damning headlines. I do not like the market to move me. I do not like the market to have control of me. When you're sitting here in these overnights, you are at the mercy of the entire market. You're holding an overnight in Apple, Netflix, Amazon, Google, Cisco, this name, this name, this name, this name, this name. If you bought something, you're going to want the market to gap up the next day. If the market gaps down the next day, for the majority of your positions, if you were long, the majority of them, you would be down money, and vice versa. If the market gapped up, and if you were short, market gapped up, you'd probably lose money, and vice versa, you'd make money if the market gapped down. We all know that. Not only that, you're subjecting yourself to headline risk. Something could come out of any of the countries in which I spoke of. Any one of the countries out there could have an effect on your positions. If there was something, you bought a bunch of positions and China seems like they want to continue the trade war further and the market gap's down big and no deal's going to happen for a very long time according to China or based on the news or the interpretation of whatever news comes out, market could gap down. Now, let me ask you something. If you were in an overnight position, and I'm just using it as an example, Apple. It could be one of the other 80 billion names out there. It's an exaggerated number, but you get the picture. Let's say you bought Apple. What are the chances that your position could be, let's say you bought Apple overnight, what are the chances your position could be negatively impacted by something out there in the news flow world? Either a geopolitical headline, an election, a law, a ruling, a this, a comment, a threat, a promise, an agreement, a this, a that, a this, a that. In this geopolitical strained environment, extremely high, whatever that number is, if you're sitting there and you're holding a position from 4 o'clock p.m. as an overnight to 9:30 a.m. the next day, just do the simple math. You're holding that thing for what, 17 and a half hours? 17 and a half hours? How much news could come out on the planet in 17 and a half hours? A lot. And it could be good for you and it could be bad for you. But is that the sort of dice that you want to throw? Is that the sort of risk that you want to throw on the table by holding all these damn overnights? What do you think, these stupid imbecilic chart patterns are just going to tell you everything? You think you're going to sit here and look at a triple Qs and be like, this candlestick formation over here is going to mean that it goes up because it's a 1, 2, 3 pumpy dumpy setup and I love it so much. You think that really means anything? When China news comes out, when this news comes out, when that news comes out. Now, let me take you to the flip side scenario. What are the odds that something like that comes out when you're in a position for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour, compared to 17 and a half hours? You tell me, what are the odds that something could hurt you? So while we're crushing it in names like this today, while we're crushing it and making money consistently across the board, people are holding overnights and they're coming into the next day very happy or very depressed because their positions are usually up big or down big based on the crazy gaps that we've been suffering in the market. But let's put things in perspective. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. Let's say you made money on the overnights. You're batting a solid 50%, which is incredible if you're doing options on overnights. You're batting 50% and you're up. After a month of overnights, you're up $5,000. I'm making everybody's numbers different, right? You're up $5,000. But you were taking wins and losses and wins and losses and wins and losses and losses and wins, loss, loss, win, loss, loss, win, loss, loss, loss. Do you realize how psychologically damaged you are? You are so jaded by your positions that you're actually going to have a negative impact on yourself the next month. if you're like 99.9999% of us. Now, maybe you're just the machine. Maybe you are the robot, and what has happened in the past does not affect your robotic calculations into the future. Maybe you're just an algorithm. Maybe you're just simply a robot and you have no emotion and no feelings. Congratulations. But for the other 99.99% of us who are not robots, who are not machines, who are not algorithms, we have feelings. And when you're sitting there with all these losses and wins slapping you in the face, and you're sitting there praying that at the end of the tunnel that you end up ahead, you are going to suffer psychological toxicity, which will have a negative impact on your trading later. You know why traders who made hundreds of thousands to millions and millions of dollars back in the late 90s and early 2000s, you know the majority of them cannot day trade themselves out of a urine soaked brown paper bag? They couldn't day trade themselves out of that now. What happened? They were millionaire traders because they suffered so much psychological toxicity back then that they still didn't heal their brains that they brought into the future, and now they just can't make any money anymore. So, yeah, there is a bad way to make money. There is a good way to make money. There's a good way to take losses. There's a bad way to take losses. What I am saying is ideas like this, which any imbecile, anybody with 4 working brain cells and 1,700 canisters of whippets next to them could trade effectively and make money based on the disclosure, based on the timing, based on the news flow. That is what will propel you into the future. You cannot control what goes on in the world, ladies and gentlemen. You cannot control what happens geopolitically. Sure, do I have fundamental swings that I'm holding for a long time? Yes, and they're doing great. But what does that mean for the intraday? Everybody's like, I asked traders in the room, nobody really cares about the big numbers. Nobody's like, I need these $50, $100, $200, $300,000 days. Most people said, I'd be happy making money consistently. In fact, when we held a poll in the Newsbeat live room, when we held a poll, over 93% of you ready for this? 93% of you would rather make $200,000 while batting 85% than $500,000 and batting 45%. I'll repeat that. So you don't think I'm mathematically insane. Over 90% of the Newsbeat live room would prefer and choose for this year or any year of trading to make $200,000 while batting 85% hit rate, as opposed to making 2.5 times that money, $500,000, while batting 45%. Because they know if they make $500,000 batting 45%, they're going to be miserable. They're going to be nasty to the people around them. They're going to be moody. They're going to be upset. They're going to suffer psychological toxicity. And they're probably going to do a lot worse the next year because they won't be able to maintain that sort of mentality. Most people just want to make money consistently. That is what the majority of traders want. What I am showing is one of the most unique, individual, exclusive ways to make money by taking advantage of the black boxes on Wall Street that all these large tier 1 firms do to take advantage of people like you. We're flipping the script and taking advantage of them. That is the difference between intraday and overnight tradings. I hope you guys enjoyed the Newsbeat show. Happy trading, make money, and I will see you guys here on the Newsbeat live trading broadcast. Have a wonderful evening.